The topic of the day today is data analysis, and this is a summary of the stuff we would have done in units 9 and 10 on data and statistics and probability. So question number 1 is asking for the median of the data, and recall that the median in a box and whisker plot is just the line inside of the box. So in this case, that correlates directly to the 51. So C should be our first answer. For number 2, we're looking at a bar graph. And it asks which of the following is the closest to the mean amount of the sales for the fourth month period. And they're showing us in the bar graph the 4 months in that period, and then the amount of sales for each of those months in thousands of dollars. So this is key over here. The y-axis is actually thousands. So really here we can approximate and say that like May is our first month, so maybe that was 6,500. June is the next month. That's pretty clearly about 8,000. July is about 5,500. And then we'll also add on to that August, which is at about 9,000. And since we're asked to find the mean, we're going to add all those up and get 29,000. And then divide by the total number of numbers, so divide by 4. And we're looking at a total of 7,250, which is D. And then last on the front page, they're asking us to find the closest range of her weights. And clearly here she's starting at about 185. And the lowest number on here is, if we scroll back to the y-axis, is at about somewhere in between 150 and 155. So if we take 185 and subtract off, we'll approximate maybe like 152. And we get 33. And the closest value that matches that range is this first answer, A, 32. Our second page here, we have a pie chart. And the pie chart's pretty difficult to read in black and white, so do take a look at the color option of it here. And they want to know if the university is expecting 1,200 incoming freshmen, we're supposed to predict the number of freshmen who will be majoring in either science or math. So first we have to identify any of the science and math majors out of the pie chart, and we see pretty clearly there's a science and math in light blue. The other 5 options do not include direct science or math. So basically they're saying take 9% of 1,200, or do 1,200 times 0.09, since it's 9%, and that gets us about 108, which is exactly one of the answer choices. Now, question 5 is a line graph with 2 different lines on it. And what we're asked to do is to predict at which of the following times on a weekday route 2 will be faster. So what I would do is figure out where route 2 is faster in general. So obviously we're looking for, in this case, lower times because faster would imply that you're getting there in a shorter amount of time. So route 2 is the green one. So we're going to look at, out of the 4 options over there, which ones it's actually below the yellow graph. The thing you have to keep in mind, though, here is this is listed in military time. So, for example, 11 a.m. for B would be the 11 that's on the bar graph or on the line chart right here. But then for like letter A, 9 p.m. is actually 9 hours after 9 hours after noon, rather. So we'd have to take 12 plus 9, and we're looking at 9 o'clock would actually be hour 21. So that's a little confusing here, which could result in choosing maybe the wrong answer. But again, just looking at each of these, so maybe what I'll do is circle 8 a.m. is there, and the other one we had is 7 a.m. So at 7 a.m., pretty clearly route 1 is faster because the yellow bar is below the green. At 8 a.m., it looks pretty probable. 8 a.m., route 1 is up there, whereas route 2 is down here. At 11 a.m., nope, yellow is lower. And at 9 p.m., route 1 is again faster. So the correct answer here should be at C, 8 a.m. And then lastly here, we're asked to use the bar graph to predict which month will have the greatest number of sales overall. So you really just, for each month, you can add an approximation of each. And the correct answer here is actually in January, because that one has the highest bars overall. And then the last thing we did in Unit 9 actually was we worked with bar graphs. And also we'll do some central measures of central tendency here at the bottom. So first and foremost, they're asking us to find the quartiles because we're going to be making a box and whisker. This data set is already in numerical order, so we can just do our count in to find the median. There's 11 data points, so I'm looking for data point 6, which would be at 40. So that's our Q2, our actual median. And then remember, this kind of creates a divider at the 40. So we're looking for the median of this half and the median of this half. So we count in to the third spot on each end. So 28 is quartile 1 or the lower median, and 84 is quartile 3 or the upper median. IQR, remember, stands for interquartile range. This is really saying take Q3 minus Q1. So take 84 minus 28, and we're looking at an interquartile range of 56. Perhaps they'll give you the formula like I'm doing here and ask you to find if there are any outliers. Or maybe they'll do like they did on your on your Unit 9 test and say that these are outliers and then plot accordingly. In this case, if you plug into the two formulas, we figure out that the lower fence is at negative 56, and the upper fence, if we plug into the top one there, the Q3 plus IQR times 1.5, the upper fence is at 168. So in this case, the fences imply that anything within that region is not an outlier. Anything outside of that would be an outlier. And in this case, our lowest data point was 17 and our highest was 160. So 160 came close, but 17 and 168 are the highest and lowest values. So there's really no outliers here. Then it asks us to find the mean, median, or mean, mode, and range, because we already did find the median. The median, when you sum up all the numbers, we get 640. And we're dividing that by the number of numbers here, which are 11. And we get about 58.2. The mode in this case is the most repeated number. For this data set, there are two 28s. Everything else is listed singly. And the range, we take the highest of 160 minus the lowest, which is 17, and we get a total of 143. Then the last thing they're asking to do here is create a box and whisker. First, I'm going to label that this is dog weights. And then I'm going to start at 0 and go up by tens. And then recall that if there would have been outliers, we would have graphed those as something special, like an asterisk or something that would look different than the rest of the data. But in this case, everything we can just use regular hash marks. The lowest point was at 17. Just have to approximate that. The quartile 1 was 28. Quartile 2, or the median, was at 40. 84 was quartile 3. And the highest value here is all the way out at 160. So the middle three lines create the box. And then we just extend from the edges of boxes out to the whiskers.